I've been using the iPhone 16 Pro for the past year. This has been one of the best phones that I've ever used, and I found some things that haven't quite held up on it. As well, I'm gonna share some things that I wish I knew before I bought it. I know you're already wondering about the battery life, so let's start there. Overall, the battery life on the iPhone 16 Pro was noticeably better than my iPhone 15 Pro. I haven't been using this phone for the past couple days because I've switched over to the 17 Pro, and with iOS 17, I can't exactly see my screen time anymore. However, I can still see that my battery health is normal, my max capacity is 93%, and the cycle count on this phone is 522 times. If I remember correctly, I usually did need to charge the phone in the middle of the day. I mean, I didn't need to, but I kind of always have this battery fear, I don't know what you want to call it, but I don't want to ever leave the house with less than 50% battery. Let me know if that's something you can relate to. I also kind of have all these apps that track me in the background. It's kind of my toxic trait. A couple of those apps are one called Odyssey, which shows you where I go throughout my day and throughout the year. Another one's called Life Cycle, and it lets me know where I'm spending my time. And so I can track where I'm working, how much I'm sleeping, and how much time I'm spending at friend's house or the gym. And there's a couple other apps like that, and I have a feeling they do take a toll on the battery. But overall, the iPhone 16 Pro could last me the full day if I wanted it to, especially if I turned on low power mode. As well, most of my day-to-day stuff is in a house or in a coffee shop or at a friend's place, and there's outlets everywhere, as well as USB-C chargers, so even if I did run out of charge, I'd honestly probably be fine. The iPhone 16 Pro is made out of titanium, and overall, the body of the phone has held up quite well. I mean, this phone's also been in a case for pretty much its entire life, but the parts that were exposed outside of the case have held up pretty well. Well, I also put a screen protector on this phone. I just don't trust the ceramic shield, and I don't get Apple Care or anything. So if you were to take the screen protector off, this thing's gonna be pristine. I really enjoy matte finish screen protectors. Glossy is just not my thing, and the screen protector that I've been using on this phone, I just got at a mall kiosk, but recently for my 17 Pro, I have a matte screen protector from a company called Rhino Shield, and I've actually really been enjoying that screen protector. And I'm sure that's something you could get for the iPhone 16 Pro. Speaking of cases, here's a couple of my favorites that I've used in the past year for the 16 Pro. I purchased the Apple silicone case when I first got this phone, and I really like this purple color. In my experience, these silicone cases always have a really nice color and really nice finish. Well, at least for the first little bit. Consistently, I've found that after about 8 or 10 months of use, these things start falling apart and they kind of take on this odd texture to them. And long term, they don't hold up, which is kind of unfortunate because they're pretty expensive. Another case I use for this phone is this one from Moft. I really enjoy the finish and the feel of this case. It doesn't have a cutout for the camera control button, but that really doesn't bother me. And it's not my favorite color, but the feel and thinness of the case was something I really enjoyed. And after becoming a resident creator with Moment, I've received a couple cases from them, and I actually really enjoy these as everyday cases. The cases are designed to attach a camera lens to your phone. However, you can just pop this lens connector part out and put in something called the trim ring, and these are pretty great cases actually. They're fairly slim, they come in a bunch of great colors, and they're quite nice to hold. I feel like a case is necessary, at least for me, as somebody who doesn't buy Apple Care. I haven't bought Apple Care for any of my Apple products, I don't think ever. I don't know if this is a mistake or not, but I've been pretty careful with all of my electronics, and I haven't had an issue yet. Now that I've got a kid, maybe I should get Apple Care. Okay, enough about cases, let's talk about this. The controversial camera control button. Honestly, I probably used this thing like 4 times. Well, like at least the way that Apple has intended for you to use it. Actually, I used it almost every day when I'm pulling my phone out of my pocket and want to take a photo. It is in a pretty good position to just quickly press the button and engage the camera. However, that's kind of where it stops. It does sit a little low on the phone to actually comfortably use it as a trackpad for my thumb. And the amount of videos that I'm taking horizontally, it doesn't happen. And I'm not using this as a trigger or as a trackpad. Also, I live in Canada where if I'm shooting photos outside in the winter, I've got gloves on, this button isn't really doing much. I have found if somebody hands me their phone, asks me to take a photo, and they don't have a 16 or a 17 model phone, I've been trained to launch the camera with this button and I'm just pressing on the side of their phone. So I have got used to the button. I'm just not using it the way Apple designed it for. On the other side of the phone is the action button, and I've used this button almost exclusively to launch camera apps. If I'm out shooting something a little bit more professional that I need the ProRes log or a flatter picture profile, this button's programmed to the Moment Pro camera app. It's a great app. I've actually talked quite a bit about it on the Moment channel, so if you want to find out more, check it out there. If I'm not using that app, I'm likely programming this button to Kino. Kino is an app that takes videos that uses the ProRes log, like the highest quality videos that you can get from this phone, and color grades them beautifully. There's no extra work that you need to do, and the file sizes are pretty small. It's one of my favorite apps, and I've made a couple videos about that app before. Speaking of photos and videos, like with the iPhone 15, 16, 17s now, I am so happy with the photos and videos that I can get from these phones. I mean, we're talking the 16, but even the 15, like the photos and videos were just insane. I found one of the biggest changes between this 15 and upgrading to the 16 was the 3x to 5x telephoto lens. I found that the 3x tele lens on the iPhone 15 Pro wasn't quite long enough. I think it was like a 80mm lens, and the 5x on the 16 Pro, honestly, for me, just feels a little too close to my subject. It looks like the 5x is a 120mm focal length. I kind of wish there was a focal length in between iPhone 17, 4x. So I found I still used that tele lens, but it just felt kind of awkward and weird every time I went to shoot with that lens. That being said, all of these cameras are quite capable, and I've been really happy with the image quality and the colors and everything that comes out of this phone. Now, after using Moment lenses, I feel like an entire world has opened up, and what I thought was incredible now doesn't quite compare to what it's like shooting with these Moment lenses. I don't shoot many macro photos, but I'm so much more inclined to take more macro photos and get a lot more detail of the photos that I'm taking when I'm shooting with a Moment lens. Like, take a look at the difference of this depth of field. Like, these photos are night and day different. The same goes when I'm shooting with like the anamorphic lens or the fisheye lens. Like, it's just such a different field of view. Like, I thought I had everything when I was using these lenses, but shooting with the Moment lenses, there's just so many more opportunities and options for what to capture. I gotta shout out a couple of my friends, Brock and Cody. They've been shooting some really incredible stuff on their iPhones. They both have the iPhone 16 Pro, and I thought I was getting some really cool stuff with my phone. It's nothing compared to what these guys are doing. I don't know how they're doing it. Over the past couple years, I found that I've been shooting on my phone far more than even like my big cameras that are a lot heavier and a lot more expensive. Largely just because the images are quite good and it's just always with me. There's also just so many apps out there that help you capture the world in a unique way, and I've made some videos about these apps. I'll link them somewhere if you want to see them, and they just really help me enjoy using this phone. I believe this is Apple's second generation of Pro phone that has switched over to USB-C, and honestly, at first, everybody says USB-C is incredible. I was a little hesitant, and now after using it on the 15, especially the 16, I just don't want to go back to Lightning. I've now successfully migrated everything over to USB-C, so one charger can pretty much work for everything. If I'm out and about and I need a charge, I can unplug a Square reader and plug it into my phone. If AirDrop isn't working, or I quickly need to move a large file from my phone to somebody else's phone or computer, I can plug in a hard drive, transfer it over quickly, and plug it into their phone. I'm trying to think of another example of how I use the USB-C, but it just works with everything, and every cable that I come across throughout my day uses USB-C. It's awesome. Despite how much I've really enjoyed the iPhone 16 Pro, I do wonder if I would have been fine just using the iPhone 15 Pro. Really, the only differences that I've practically found between the iPhone 15 Pro and the iPhone 16 Pro is the camera control button and the battery life. Now, I don't know if either of those are deal breakers for you. I went 15 generations of this phone without using the camera control button and was pretty fine. And I live in North America and there's outlets everywhere, and I've got a whole bunch of MagSafe power banks and stuff. So it's up to you for how important that battery life is for you. But the 15 Pro honestly felt like one of the best phones I've ever had. It had the USB-C, the action button, ProRes log and raw photos, the 3x camera lens, the dynamic island, and a whole bunch of other pro features. I mean, I'm happy that I've been using this phone for a year, got to try it out, see what it was like, but honestly, probably would have been fine with the 15 Pro, would not have noticed much of a difference. The iPhone 16 Pro has been great for me. It may even be one of the last black, dark iPhones that we get. If you have a 16 Pro, I'd love to hear your experience with it over the past year. My name's Davey. Thanks for letting me spill the gravy, and we'll see you in the next video.